morning, boys and girls. It's Miss Lisa, the art teacher. Welcome back to my table of art. I hope you're all doing well. I miss you and I wish I was with you, but I think this is a pretty good way of connecting with you through our videos because I know that you're watching me and it's like I'm right there with you. I just wish I could see your faces as much as you could see mine. But until that time, we'll do this because this works just as well. So today I want you to notice that I have some apples next to me, in case you didn't notice. Can anybody tell me some of the colors they see in these apples? Let's look. I think I see some yellow. Yellow is a very, very pretty color. Yellow. The sun is bright and shiny and yellow. But there are some red spots within it. Red is also in the apple. Look at the apple behind that one. That's really red. I don't know if you can see, but I think there's some green up on top here. There is some green. Maybe you could see if I come closer. Did you see? Oh well, you'll have to take my word for it in case you can't see the green. And here's another a yellow and red apple. The pretty yellow spots and red on the side. Very beautiful. Well, let me see. What do you notice about these apples? They kind of like overlap each other. Like this one in the front is overlapping this red one in the back. Do you know artists do that when they're drawing their paintings or pictures? They want to make it look a little bit more realistic. Realistic meaning like it's a real image. It's not just separate circles along the paper. They're bunched together because usually if your mom buys apples at home, she'll put them in a basket and they will overlap within the basket. Or she'll display them on the counter and she'll keep them together where they're overlapping each other. One's behind the other. This one's a little on the side, but how about I overlap that front apple? There we go, another overlapping apple. So what we're going to do today, we are going to create a beautiful image with apples overlapping. It's going to look something like this. These apples are overlapping each other. Some are side by side. It gives it a more realistic image of how an apple would look on a counter. So we're going to do what's called a crayon resist technique. We're going to color our we're going to color our apples using our crayons, but then we're going to paint over our apples using watercolor. And you'll watch how the wax from the crayons, if you ever feel a crayon, it's got that waxy feel like a candle. Well, when the water hits it, it rolls right off of the crayon in the wax in the crayon, and the crayon, it's called crayon resist. So it leaves a great looking technique. Look at the effects. You see the water up on this apple? It left a really nice effect, and we're going to do this today. So what we're going to need is we're going to need a pencil because we need to make our circles for our apples. Anybody can make a circle, and they don't have to be perfect, so please don't worry. And we're going to need a piece of white construction paper. We're going to work big today, so we're going to do a 12 by 18. And you're going to need your crayons because we want to color in our apples. You're going to need a cup of water and a paintbrush. This is a special cup for me somebody had made. This is my paint water cup. And you're going to need your watercolors. Remember, we're doing a crayon resist, so we need the wax from the crayon and the water in the watercolors. So I'm going to get my helping hand and bring you down so you can see me on my table. Remember my helping hand? He's wonderful. Scratches my back too. Okay, come on down, but I want you to see these apples. You're going to be able to look at these apples when the time comes to draw, okay? So hang on, I'm going to show you how to draw. See you in a minute. All right, now we are at my table of art. And what we want to do is we want to draw our 3 apples on the paper. So until I'm done, and I bring this camera back up, you'll be able to see the apples. So I'm going to have to try to go by memory because I'm not even looking at the apples. So let's say I have one apple in the front, and then there's another apple behind him, and then another apple overlapping that one. Well, what do I do with all these circles that I drew going into each other? I'm going to make this, can you see these circles, how I did them? They're all going into each other. Well, not to worry, because what we're going to do is we're going to erase where they interact with each other. So this apple is the apple I want to keep in the front. So watch how, I'm going to make it darker so you could see. This is going to be my front apple. See that? Which means I shouldn't be able to see this part of the other apple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase just the part of the apple that goes into the front apple. So now this front apple is overlapping this back apple. So now I'm going to draw this apple. This apple is behind the front apple. The front apple is overlapping the middle apple. So I need to erase these extra lines here because we shouldn't be able to see this part of the back apple. And lastly, we're going to draw just what we see peeking out behind the middle apple. So we have our front apple overlapping our middle apple, overlapping our back apple. Overlapping apples gives it a more realistic look when it comes to drawing. Some of them had stems. They didn't come out from the top, but you can make your stems from the top. They kind of came out of the middle here. So I'm just going to draw a quick stem, maybe a stem over here. And I don't know if this one had a stem, so I'll just make the hole where it was. Okay, so we have our apples ready to go. The next thing we need to do is grab a black crayon. And only the lines that you see are where we're going to trace with our black crayon. And we're going to press very hard when we use our crayon because we want the water resist to work, the crayon resist to work. If we go too light, it might not work. And we want to see that cool effect created by the crayon resist. So here's my first apple, which is in the front. Now I'm going to draw my second apple, which is behind it because the front apple is overlapping my middle apple. Look at that. That's two apples. And let's do our last apple, who's all the way in the back, being overlapped by the middle apple. Fantastic. Now it's time to color them in. Choose your colors. Do you want a red apple, a green apple, a yellow apple? You may choose whatever color you want. In the meantime, I'm going to just start coloring mine. I like to mix my colors, and this also gives it a more realistic look when you mix colors. Because if you see the apples that I showed you, they weren't one color. They were pretty. They had one color that was much stronger than the other, but they were all mixed, and that's what I would like you to do. Mix your colors. So I'm going to mix mine. I think I'll use maybe a little yellow in this apple as well. Because sometimes they have spots that aren't as ripe as the other parts, or for whatever reason they're different colors. I'm not really sure. But and also you're pressing hard when you're coloring in. Remember, hard. Use all the muscles in your arms to press down on these, using your crayons. We're pressing, we're pressing, we're pressing. Look how hard Miss Lisa's pressing. Oh, my hand's so tired. I am so tired. Look at that apple. Is that a beautiful apple or what? Okay, I need a crayon that's brown for my stem. You know, I don't have a brown crayon. Oh, I have a second box of crayons. Hold on. There's my brown. I like to spill my crayons out on the table and see all the colors I have to use. How's that? I likey. Me likey my apple. I think this one's going to be yellow. And it'll pop out next to that red one. If I made this one red, I might not be able to see the difference in the overlapping of the two apples as much as if I made this a different color. I'm going to make it green up at the top. Green apples are the Granny Smith apples, and I love Granny Smith apples. Those are the apples we make apple pie with, and I love apple pie. Look at this. This is so much fun. What color should we make this one? Should I make it all green? Yeah, maybe we'll do that. I'll make this the green apple. Oh, look at that. It's the perfect color for a Granny Smith apple. That is a Granny Smith apple color. Beautiful. I'm glad I thought of it. You don't have to do the colors of the actual apples that I have. I'm just using my apples to show you about overlapping. Okay, look at that. Pretty good, right? Okay, so we have our 3 apples. I'm going to put my crayons away because I'm done with my crayons now. Oh, I didn't do the stem of my apple. I got to add that in. Okay, add a little apple hole here where the stem was. All right, so let's get our crayons put away. This way we don't have our crayons all over the table when it's time to paint, because we want it to be a little cleaner area when we're painting. Alrighty, so you know when we paint, we're going to need a cup of fresh water, and you're going to need a paintbrush so we can paint our apples. Okay, let me get my paintbrushes out. I'll use this big one. Look at this big paintbrush I got. The bigger the better. Now when we paint, we are not loading it on really heavy, the color. We want just what's called a wash. And you know what else too? Let's brush off all the crayon that's left on the picture. Okay, you want to do what's called a wash, which is a very light color, which means when you're working with watercolors, that means we're going to add more water than color. So, and I only want you to use blue or purple or both. So I'm dipping my brush in the paint and I'm putting it over on the side and I'm adding water to it. The more water, the better, because we only want a wash. And then I'm going to start painting right over my apples. I don't know if you could see this great effect that it's creating, but this looks amazing. Look at that crayon resist. I love, love, love it. And we go right over again. Beautiful. Let's add a little purple now. Don't forget, add water to the color because we only want a wash. The more water, the better. Here we go, right over those apples. Oh, my goodness. This looks so pretty. Are you guys all painting like Miss Lisa? Here we go, right across. Don't worry if it's lighter or darker in some areas. That makes it all the more interesting to look at. Okay? Right to the edge of the paper. Oh my goodness, look at this. You guys are the best artist I've ever seen. Wow. I love it. I absolutely love it. Where's my helping hand? Because I have to bring you guys up. This was amazing. How do you think it came out? Overlapping apples with a light wash of blue and purple behind it. Now you can go back and make the wash a little bit darker. How about we try that? I'm going to bring it back down. We'll make it a little darker, okay? And you can watch these apples really pop when we make it a little bit darker. Let me get my blue paint. Hold on. I want you to see what I'm doing. The blue paint. Ooh, look at that. That's really dark, huh? That looks good though. It's okay. Those apples are going to pop right off that paper with this darker blue. Look at that go. Do you see what I mean by pop? It's making them look even more realistic with the darker color behind it. And we still got that crayon resist effect, which is so beautiful. Let's get our purple. Ooh, la la. Look at that. Beautiful. You guys are doing such a beautiful job. These washes are coming out lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. So proud of you guys. Here we go. we go. Okay, now let's bring up that camera and let's look together. What do you think? Do you think it was better with the darker color? I certainly do. Made it really pop. You know what? I'm so hungry I'm going to eat one of those apples. It's not real. It looks so real. Don't you want to eat one? All right. When this dries, there's one more thing you have to do. Think about it. What could it be? Well, I'll show you my dry one. Who painted this? I don't know. There's no name on it. I don't know. That's right. We have to sign our artwork. And usually when artists make paintings, they usually sign it in a corner, whether it's the left corner or the right corner. So I'm going to get out my pen and I'm going to sign my artwork. There you go. It's a crazy signature, but that's how I sign my art. And don't forget to sign yours, because you are an artist. All right, boys and girls, that's it for today. We learned about crayon resist, water resist. We learned about overlapping apples. And we had fun. I hope you did. And until next week, when we meet again, I want you to be good. I want you to have fun. I want you to get out in the fresh air. And I want you to make sure that you always keep art in your life. It's nothing better. Makes you happy. It's easy. It's stress-free. It's fun. All right, guys. Have a great week, and I'll see you next week with something great again, okay? Bye-bye. This is Miss Lisa saying ciao for now from my table of art.